This is your Midco Sports Network game recap from Coughlin Alumni Stadium in Brookings. Hobo Day was a bummer, so to speak, for the Jackrabbits, Hank, as Northern Iowa comes in, spoils homecoming for South Dakota State. Northern Iowa wins it 10-7. Defensively, the Panthers were great in this ball game, and not much going on in the first half. Let's take a look at the first half here, and Northern Iowa held the Jacks to 71 yards in the first half.
Yeah, this defense showed up today for UNI. Knew coming in that this was a tough unit. They had really taken it to the Bison a couple of weeks ago up in Fargo. The Jackrabbits knew it was going to be a tough test for them. Really coming into this one unsure as to what their quarterback situation was going to be. Started off with number 16. He was healthy enough, gave it a go. Wasn't right, so Taryn got the nod from there on out. And really they struggled to put anything together offensively throughout this one. That last drive, they were aided by a couple of penalties. So a tough loss for the Jackrabbits. Hobo Day isn't a day that you're supposed to leave with a loss. So the seniors, they're going to be struggling with that one. But there's still a lot of football yet to play, so they got some things to figure out and get themselves back on track.
All right, Kyle Paris had a couple of decent runs in that first half for the Jacks, but just 31 yards rushing, 40 yards through the air, just 71 total yards for South Dakota State in that first half. Jacks had a couple of sacks in this game, one by Cole Langer, one by Jared Bloom. But Aaron Bailey ends up with more than 150 yards rushing, more than 100 yards through the air. And he is another one of those running quarterbacks that not just the Jackrabbits, but everybody in the conference has trouble with.
Yeah, everybody struggles with them at this level. I really think that it goes a lot to, when you look at defenses throughout the FCS and these types of quarterbacks, they put a whole lot of stress on the second level, linebackers and D linemen. You've got to be true to your defensive scheme. And if you're not, a guy like that, all it takes is one slip, one missed tackle, and he's out the gate because it's tough on these types of guys. So that's what you end up with a guy like this. He's a difference maker. SDSU, they've got one of those on their side too, potentially, and a very young quarterback who's still learning how things work at this level, no doubt about that. It was good to see him take a couple of shots. Taryn Christian downfield to Jake Winicky, trying to get him involved today. But really defensively, Jackrabbits did a decent job of keeping UNI out of the end zone, just as they have everybody else. They didn't give up 30 points today, but in the end, they didn't do enough to get the win. All
right, Jacks did get that go-ahead touchdown to go up 7-3 on the Christian to Landberg score, but Bailey comes back with a touchdown to put him up 10-7, and then Bailey to Derice Fountain here on a third down, and Northern Iowa did just enough offensively, and the big play came late in the ball game. There was a couple of fumbles. Jackrabbits gave one up, got back on it, could not get it down the field, though. They finally do push it down the field. Winicky with a nice catch to get it inside the 20-yard line, and then Taryn Christian on a 3rd and 10 gets about 9.5 yards. And then here's the play of the ball game as Carter Schultz with a tackle, or gets some contact at least on Kyle Paris on a 4th and 1. Jackrabbits don't get it. Northern Iowa stacks them up. They run out the clock and win it 10-7. And the final numbers, a lot of yards rushing for the Panthers in this one, more than 160 of those from Aaron Bailey, the running quarterback. But South Dakota State with just 95 yards on the ground. They need to find a running game. They need to find a little more balance in that offense. But again, it was a bad loss on homecoming again for the Jackrabbits.
Yeah, this one hurts, absolutely. And you've got to find a way to, take a look at it tomorrow and pick up the pieces, really, because there's still a whole lot of football yet to play. You're not out of the playoff picture yet, and keep fighting, guys. You played a heck of a football team. These guys aren't bad. Their record does not speak to the type of football team this is. They played some tough teams. 5 opponents from the top 25 already this season. Lost the majority of those games, but they're a good football team, and they're still fighting to get themselves into the playoffs as well. So a lot of football yet to play. Got to figure some things out, though, no doubt about that. Jackrabbits still have a ways to go before they're playing their best football.
All right, the Jacks are 5-2 overall. They dropped to 2-2 in the Missouri Valley Conference, and they are at Missouri State coming up this next weekend. Northern Iowa wins it here against the Jackrabbits 10-7 on Hobo Day.